And the day Jose left, he come down the dressing room and everyone was crying. Everyone was crying in that dressing room. He come round and he said goodbye one by one by one. And it was like a father figure just left. So he left. Roman Abramovich come down, we had a meeting, and he said, look, Avram Grant's going to take over. And obviously Avram, great footballing man, but he wasn't a Chelsea manager. I'm Steve Sidwell, and this is Behind the Headlines. So I was born in Tooting, South London. Mum and dad from Balham and Tooting Beck area. Got an older brother and older sister. Me and my brother were really close. He's about 4 or 5 years older than me, and he was a good player, my brother. Played a lot of Sunday League football. Was on Palace's books growing up, you know, and football-wise, it run and it took care of itself. I mean, I was probably quite lucky that I was the younger sibling, where when I was being taken left, right, and centre to football, my brother and sister, because they was older, they could just be left to it. I think the biggest thing that drove me to be successful was the failure of not making it. I was scared at my wits of not making it, and the pressure that was probably put on me, probably more, not from my family, but more friends, people that knew that I was a good player growing up, and he was like, oh, he's definitely going to make it. You know, he's you know, a shining light in the local area. My dad owned a scaffolding company, so obviously was grafting, even when I was a professional. So I'd gone through Arsenal, and I'd signed a professional contract, and even I think it might have been when I signed for Reading, like when I was in my early 20s. He used to wake me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, and take me down to his yard, sweep his yard, paint the chews, like load lorries, and he used to be like, listen, if you don't make it, you're going to be wrecking these and you're going to be doing this for me. Like 6:30 in the morning, you're going to be going out grafting, which would end up what my brother was doing. Obviously he had the injuries and stuff, so I was sitting back thinking like, I don't want to be doing this in the nicest possible way. So I think that sort of drive and keeping your feet on the ground and saying, look, you've got a great opportunity here, make the most of it. Our youth team is, and you talk to anyone now at the football club, our youth team was the best youth team in their history. Like probably a lot of people don't know this, but every one of our youth team made it, which is phenomenal. I mean, I coach now in the under-16s at Brighton, and I'd love all for them kids to make it, but the reality is probably maybe not even one of them will go on to and have a professional career. In our youth team, every single one of us made it as a professional football player at either Premier League level, Championship, or League One, League Two. But you've got to be realistic with yourself. And if I'm honest, the times that I went out on loan made me grow up. I mean, because as I said before, what you had at Arsenal, you walk in, underfloor heating, you know the food upstairs, what you was given, all your kit folded up, you know, warm, dry, amount of boots that you wanted. And then I went on loan to Brentford when I was 18 in League Two, League One at the time, and I just grew up instantly. I know I'm in men's football now. People have got to pay mortgages. Games on a Saturday they meant something. You know, the best shower in the dressing rooms was a hose that came out of one of the pipes and was like, it just had hot water on it, and it was like, right, this is the real world now. Take your kit home, wash it, and I love that. And I think they're so important now to kids that need to go out and test themselves and be in that real world scenario. Like the kids now at Arsenal and Chelsea's, they have to go out and test themselves. They can't just go and play under 23s football now and still be playing at 22, 23 and not having played first team. They're just sort of space cadets, you know, they're just not in the real world. So them learning curves were massive for me, and they put me instead of growing up in football world and outside as well. I mean, I was at Christmas parties or whenever people were at the training ground, from Dave Dean, the chairman, to Wenger, they would always stop, speak to me, and it was a case of that. I think everyone wanted me to do well. So I think that was part of the youth team, that I was one of the ones where they was like, oh, we want him to make it, but it's down to him to make it. So unfortunately, I was on the bench a couple of times for the first team and never got the opportunity or the chance. I would love to have played for Arsenal, as in an appearance. I was there for so long, and I just feel like I deserved maybe just one shot. I was on the bench a couple of times. I see a few of the lads that was getting a few chances or a few appearances, and even when I left, I see some of my friends that got a chance and that obviously went on, and I was like, that went on to other careers, and I was like, just wish I had one. Well, just one to my name, you know, especially at Highbury, where it was so special. just one appearance would have been nice, but wasn't to be. So I had 10 games at Brighton and I scored 6 goals. We played Reading in the Championship back then, and Alan Pardew was manager. Got to January the window and they put a bid in to Arsenal. Arsenal accepted it, and then I was like, right, I got a call to say, we've accepted a bid, you can go to Reading. And I was like, well, I don't really want to. You know, I want to sort of try and make it here. So I went back and I sat down with Arsene Wenger and Ricey, and they said, look, we want you to stay. You can't promise you how your career's going to go here, but we would advise you to go out and play. We think this is the best thing for your footballing pathway. It's a step down, and we've got no doubt you'll come back up. You know, you're going to be a Premier League player one day. We don't know where. So it was a wrench, because as I said, I was part of the furniture. I loved the club. I was desperate to sort of play for Arsenal, but I knew that was the way I had to go. And then the day I joined Reading, the 4.5 years that I had there was the platform that took me then to the start of my real footballing career. First game of the season, we lost to Plymouth at home 2-1. And you think these like Plymouth, I think, just got promoted, and then we went on a 32-game unbeaten run, and we were just absolutely cruising that league. And it was just team spirit. It was team spirit, togetherness that won us so many points that year. We had a real sort of drive and determination. And even though it got to sort of even Christmas, January time, we're thinking we've got this in the bag. This is like done. We never acted like that. It was always like, we have to win the next game, we have to win the next game. And I remember that Christmas period, we won 10 games on the bounce, 30 points in 10 games, done. You're just so determined to get there that you don't enjoy it. But looking back on it, it was like, wow, 106 points, so I think 100 goals. Every outfield player scored, from left back to right back to subs that come on. And we just tore it to pieces, tore the league to absolute shreds. Me and Harps was just like running games, and we had Leroy Lita, Kitson, Doyle, Shane Long was just like a young pupper then at the time. He kept coming on as sub. He was meant to go out on loan at the time, but he was doing so well for us, the gaffer couldn't send him out. So the boys were banging in goals. We was going out, we all lived in Reading, we were socialising together. It was just, everyone was just really close. The gaffer was top drawer, Steve Coppell. Wally Downs is obviously Wally Downs. People that know him outside football will know he's a bit of a loose cannon. I think when you get that core where everyone kind of lives near each other, and you've won a game, or especially an away game, and you're on the coach and everyone's like, boys, who fancies a beer? And it's like 1, 2, 5, 10. Before you know it, you got your mob handed, there's like 18 of you, and you're like, right, this is it. And that happens every sort of week. So I think, yeah, when you've got that core of lads that live within a radius of like 2 or 3 miles, once you can sniff a night out or a bit of celebration, then you just sort of crack on and do it. People say about that 106 season, which was brilliant, but a lot of people forget how well we done in the Premier League, considering not one of us had played Premier League football before. We finished 8th in the Premier League. Got to obviously the start of the season, even drew pre-season, and obviously there was a one-way communication more from my side, and I'm thinking, I've done so well for the club, why are they not giving me sort of what I'm due of a new contract? I'm 24, I'm sort of like fit as a fiddle. And I said to myself, do you know what, I'm just going to see this season out. I'm just going to see how this season goes. I'm going to put the ball right in their court. I'm going to put pressure on myself to play. I'm testing myself here. The first time I've played Premier League football, don't know how this is going to go. And I was playing well week in, week out. You know, every Monday we'd have a call from, me and my agent would have a call from that club that we'd played saying, right, listen, what's the script with Siddy? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? We'll take him. He's on a free at the end of the season. I think the only clubs we didn't talk to was Liverpool, Man United, and Tottenham. Those were 3 clubs we didn't speak to. Everyone else we spoke to that season. And I spoke to Steve Coppell, because I've known Cops for a number of years, and he was good as gold with me. And they needed me as much as I needed them. They needed to play me for survival and to stay in the Premier League, and I needed them to play because obviously that was putting me in the shop window. So Cops was like, look, whatever you're thinking, just tell me along the way. And I went to him throughout the season. I was like, look, what's your thoughts on? Because one point I was signing for Newcastle, one point I was talking to Charlton, next point I'm talking to Man City. And he was like, yeah, okay, no problem. And then it got to a point where obviously the Chelsea one come up, and he was one of the first ones to say, look, it's a no-brainer. You know, if they come knocking, you've got the best manager in the world at the time that's wanting your services, then you got to take it up. So it got to the end of the season where we'd done so well in the Premier League. I knew I could cut it in the Premier League, and it was a case of, right, where do I go next? Reading offered me a contract at the end of the season. They offered me more money than Chelsea. I was going at Newcastle at one point. Newcastle offered me more money than Chelsea. West Ham come in at the very, very end when Tevez scored the goal at Old Trafford to keep him in the Premier League. The Icelandics come in. The package that they offered me was treble what Chelsea offered me, and that is no lie. So to say that I went for Chelsea for financial gains is just absurd as well. It wasn't the case. But I come out of it thinking, right, if I don't sign and I go to Newcastle or West Ham, then that season, if Chelsea go on to win the Champions League, or they go and win the Premier League, or the FA Cup, I look back on that and I go, that could have been me. It was just a time where it was all buzzing, and I was like, this can't be real. Why does he sort of want to sign me? Brendan Rodgers, who was obviously at Reading in the academy the few years that I'd been there, had gone to Chelsea, he'd come to the Reading games that I'd seen a lot, so I think he was putting in a good word, and I was like, I need to speak to him. I need to speak to Jose, like, why, what's going on? So he called, and I remember the day that he called me, and I was sort of, I got the heads up to say, right, he's going to give you a call on your mobile. So I rushed home from training, had my mobile in my hand, pacing up and down my living room. I take my jumper off, I was sweating, my palms were sweating, I'm thinking, he's going to call, all of a sudden the phone rings. I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, hello, and he was like, Siddy, and I was like, yeah. He was like, Jose Mourinho. I was like, all right, Jose, and he said, yeah. He said, this literally the first thing he said, he was like, what do you want from football? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, what do you want to get out of your footballing career? And I was like, well, I want to sort of have a good career, win medals, you know, make my family secure and financial. And he was like, you sign for Chelsea. And I was like, right. He goes, it's a no-brainer, you sign for Chelsea. He said, if you do well, you're going to win medals, you're going to play, you're going to have a good contract. He said, if you don't play or you don't like it, you're going to get paid up and then you go somewhere else. He said, it's easy as that. He had everyone on side, from players 1 to 11 that were starting, the subs, even the ones that weren't involved. He had everyone. He had a knack of his man management of grasping everyone. And I remember my first team debut, my home debut, he told me 2 weeks before that I was playing, so I was training well, and he pulled me to the side and he said, look, you're doing really well, I know you want minutes. He said, you're not playing this Saturday. I think we might have had, I don't know, it might have been Liverpool away or Man United away. He said, look, you're not playing this weekend. He said, but you're playing against Blackburn next week at home, so get ready for that. He said, because you're going to start. So he walked away and I was like, wow, I've got 10 days now. I was on cloud 9, thinking I'm missing this one, I'll take that one on the chin, and then I'm playing. So just little bits like that, little elements, and I thought, you know, this is now getting to a level. And the day Jose left, he come down the dressing room and everyone was crying. Everyone was crying in that dressing room. He come round and he said goodbye one by one. And it was like a father figure just left. So he left, Roman Abramovich come down, we had a meeting, and he said, look, Avram Grant's going to take over. And obviously Avram, great footballing man, but he wasn't a Chelsea manager. And it was a group of players, really, that drove the whole unit, I say, to success that season. We didn't have any success, but it got to the Champions League final. It pushed Man United to the whole way. And you see like Makelele, JT, Didier, Frank, Petr Cech, them 5 especially, they was like, listen boys, this is what we need to do. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. Avram's going to be at the forefront. A lot of the lads weren't really happy with him being the manager, but it was like, okay, we'll accept it. And it was a case of them like saying, you just follow us. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to achieve it. You lot just come on board, and then we're just going to just like do as best as we can. Like, that was a platform where I come from Chelsea. I thought, right, I've not made it at Chelsea. Come to Villa, they was going the right direction, getting this group of players that could really challenge a European place. And for some reason, it never just got going. You know, that season, especially that season, it was my first season at the club. I picked up an injury pre-season. That was my first game of the season. I think it was around about maybe September, October time. I wanted to play well. I remember we went 1-0 down. I scored the equaliser, home debut, brilliant. All of a sudden I give a goal away. And I'm like, oh, it can't get any worse. It's just stop, start, stop, start. If I'm honest, me and Martin O'Neill didn't get on. It was quite a personal thing. There was a few things that were going on that he was accusing me of that was not true. There was a leak in the dressing room. Things were getting out into newspapers, and he thought it was me, which was not absolutely like 100%. Wouldn't do things like that. I was probably earning the most I was in my career, but it was the most unhappiest I was. And he said to me, look, I'm going to make your life a misery at this club. And I said, you can bring me Monday to Sunday. I said, I don't care. I said, I was so far gone then. I was like, because at the time as well, my middle son that was born, he caught meningitis. So he was in hospital in London for about 8 to 10 weeks. So I was down in London a lot, I was driving up. He sort of kind of accused me of it maybe being a false story, and I think that what kind of threw me a little bit, and I was like, oh, football's gone now. So I was driving up, I was commuting a lot from London, and it just sort of spiralled out of control. It just sort of spiralled, and I think then, you know, I didn't really care what happened. I think it obviously as well, it was being away from home. Obviously I was being in Birmingham on my own, my missus and my wife and kids were obviously back home, and little and weren't very well. And then I got to move back to Fulham. And it was 10 minutes from home, and I was like, and as soon as I got into Mottswood Park and as soon as I played at Craven Cottage, I just felt like so natural. And I was again just like enjoying it. I was playing well, I was training well. And I think I went there with a point to prove to myself, to the team, to these players as well. So I think again it was a case of putting pressure on myself to show people, right, I've gone missing for a few years at Villa. Now I need to get back onto it, yeah. And I've done that from sort of the first week, really. So listen, Martin O'Neill was successful, what he'd done. Look, I think we got 2 sixth-place finishes, 3 sixth-place finishes at Villa. He obviously went on to successful spells with obviously Celtic and that. And he was old school, which he went in, done small-sided games, and a bit of shooting, and that was it. Get yourself away. Play Saturday. If you won on a Saturday, Gabby Bonglahor or Youngie would get into him after in the dressing room. Gaffer, off till Wednesday, off till Thursday? And he'll go, yep, all right. Whereas Mark Hughes was obviously like new school, so analysis, tactics, formation, possession, training was different, varied. The players loved it, so it was like chalk and cheese. You look back on his history in the group that he's worked with and stuff, and he's been most successful with young players. So the young players that you can sort of kind of dictate and tell them what to do. But then we had like Damien Duff, Breda Hangerland, Scotty Parker, myself, and it was just weren't the right thing, the right way to go about it. He lost a lot of players early doors. The build up towards the last few games of the season before we got relegated, we played Stoke and we could have got relegated at Stoke. In the end we did. And the week building up to that, he said, right, we've got Stoke away. If we lose, we're going to get relegated. If any of you lot think when we finish that you're done to go on holiday, that's not happening. He said, you're going to be in for 2 weeks. So John Arisa was like, I'm getting married, Gaffer. And he was like, well, you better cancel it. but he's saying it straight face like that. And so John's like, well, I'm not here next year, so you can just find me and I'll just go. And then that was the kind of surroundings what we was doing. When we got relegated after the Stoke game, we was out on the training pitch and he come out in his suit and the boys were warming up and he come out in his suit and he went around one by one to the players and said, do you want to be here next season? And some of them were a bit scared and timid saying, yeah, because like whenever as a manager sort of said that. And some of them, like Breda and that, he was like, nah, if you're going to be here, I don't want to be here. That was the hardest bit, where I put the kids to bed and the missus was in the bath and I sat on the floor and I was like, I can't do this no more, I just can't do it. And I sat down and it was a cry. And bearing in mind I've had 4 kids, didn't cry on one of them in labour, didn't cry on my wedding day. I've had people that's died close to me, gone to funerals and didn't cry. Don't show my emotions, I keep it really intact. That's just been me. And then it just all come out and the missus was like, wow. she obviously sensed this was building up. So she was like, all right, she said, whatever you want to do. She said, like, if you want to pack up, don't matter, you've had a great career. And it was the first time that it was after that, I was like, I actually felt literally I'd gone like that. And I went to work the next day and I said, that's me done. I just want to just get back to a normal life where I can just walk, get out of bed, walk, pick my kids up, take them to school, have a kick about in the garden. I couldn't wait to finish my career and have Christmas Day off and be with the kids and not play. But if I could wind back time now and play Boxing Day and play the 28th and have a away trip, get back at 2 o'clock in the morning, just to have them aches and pains, I'd take it in a flash. It's not the point of playing in front of 60,000 and that, you just get used to that. It was the case of you've gone out there and you've left everything on the pitch and you've won, or you've gone on an away game and you've beaten someone in their backyard and you're on the coach or the plane journey home, and it's just like, you can't describe it. You can't describe being a professional football player. You can't describe scoring in front of 60,000, scoring at Old Trafford. You just can't do it. It's just such an out-of-body experience. Like as I said, my kids, they asked me, Dad, what was it like to play against like Scholes or Ronaldo? What was it like to play in Champions League? And I'm like, it's brilliant. Like he's just so phenomenal. Again, everyone's different. People, I know players and friends that have been footballers, and if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. On a Saturday night, they've forgotten about it and they're just back to their normal lives. I was the worst. Like my wife used to get the brunt of it because I'd come home and I wouldn't speak. I'd just be thinking about the games or the next game coming up, and we're just drilled to be driven just to be like the best we can be. And that competitive side goes into everything. So whether you're playing table tennis, if I'm playing something with the kids outside, like I'm winning. You know, I've got to win. You know, doing anything that goes on, if I lose, I get the ump. So again, that's just ingrained in you, and that's what gets half the lads to where they got to be. I knew I was going to leave, but I went out and played 100% every game, which was a massive gamble. And if there was a 50-50 to go into, I was going in. If it was a 70-30 against, I was still going in. So I was putting my body on the line every game for that football club to achieve, obviously, a better finish or whatever, to go out and get the 3 points for the football club. Like, I had to be a footballer. I didn't want to. I needed to be a footballer, and I dedicated my life for 20 odd years to that trade, and I've come out of it and I don't feel like I've said goodbye. It's finished on a note that I didn't want it to finish on, which is hard to take, and that will always live with me. I think that'd be the hardest thing to go with. I'd never got a chance to say goodbye. I wish I enjoyed it more. I did enjoy it, obviously I loved it, but I wish sometimes I sort of took the foot off the pedal and just sunk it all in, whereas I was so driven. There was a spell with like 10 years just like went, and I was like, wow, where have they gone? And did I really grasp it as much as I could? And I think at times you just get caught up in the moment, caught up in being a professional footballer. Like, I've got 3 boys, and my eldest now, who's 12, he's like every morning going to school, Dad, what was it like to play in front of 60,000 people? Dad, what was it like to play with him? Dad, what was it like? And I'm just like, yeah, like there's no words to explain. There are words like, oh yeah, it was brilliant, it was amazing. But when you actually think of it, you think like, wow, what an achievement. Like it really was, and what a journey it was. So it was special, it was great. And there's times now that you look back and you think, like, wow, it was some incredible stuff that I've achieved there.